Thanks all of you for taking time out of your day to make the intentional act of coming here. This conference is important for the work that we do for each of our associations, our agencies, as well as the delivery of the transportation program for Wisconsin. So thank you. Again, my name is Brandon Lamers. I'm the Bureau Project Development Director. Our Bureau's primary charge is the design and construction policy, guidance, and standards documentation. And I'm going to talk about 4 of the sections that we have at the Bureau today. Those sections, proposal management, so that's the team that handles our construction contract lettings, consultant contracting, which handles consultant contracts, construction standards and oversight, so kind of a brief update of some staffing changes there and kind of talking about who the primary points of contact are and how they can help serve our consultant partners, our contractor partners, and our agency partners as well. And then a very brief update on where we're at with the design build program in Wisconsin. All right, so first kind of talking about proposals. Scott talked a lot about the money where it's been this past year. I'm going to talk about what that equated for projects, and I'm going to talk about it in form of proposals. So a proposal can be multiple projects. This is what, as a contractor, would see through an advertisement. So this past year, we had 383 proposals. As part of that, when we advertise our projects, there's an opportunity for contractors to ask questions. Last year, there were just shy of 1,300 questions asked for clarification of plans and contract documents, which resulted in 287 addenda. And what an addenda is really a change or update to either the plan sheets or the proposal documents to help clarify or update the plan based on those questions that came in. As part of those 383 proposals, we had just shy of 1,300 total bids. So a lot of competition on our projects. Thankfully, we had zero projects in our 0 proposals in 2025 where we didn't receive a bidder. So we always had at least one responsible bidder on our projects. We did have 10 proposals rejected. Those could be for a number of reasons, from costs, cost shares, those sorts of things. So in total, there were 373 proposals awarded for last year. And then looking at how that equated to the previous year, 24, we were up just shy of 20%, so 60 additional proposals were advertised in 2025, and that continues, as Scott was mentioning with the funding program. We're continuing to look at a slight increase for 2026. And I'm speaking in kind of calendar year terms, where Scott, some of his dollars were state fiscal year. I mentioned earlier the questions that were asked, and I wanted to kind of get a little bit more into the advertisement period and the question and answer, because I think there's some common misconceptions of when, how projects are advertised and how the time frame for questions. So at first, this is just showing, the image is showing a monthly bid letting from January of last year. And our proposals are advertised typically 5 weeks prior to a bid letting. So this is an opportunity where it's posted on our website, available for all to see on projects and proposals that are available for the letting 5 weeks from that date. If there are questions related to those proposals, there's opportunity to ask those questions utilizing Bid Express, and then the email information below. Kind of detail on questions. So a question that comes to our department, our Bureau Project Development Proposal Management section. They will then reach out to the engineer of record if it's a question that requires clarification. That then they are allowed 5 business days to answer that question. And then we post questions on Fridays leading up to the week before the letting. And then the week prior to the letting, we post answers on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. And then if there's additional questions, we'll post those the Monday prior to the letting. Just for kind of points of clarification, not every question results in a addenda or a change to the plan. As I showed before, it was about just shy of 1,300 and resulted in just shy of 300 addenda. But we do try to answer all of those questions. Sometimes it might just be a point of clarification, not requiring a plan change, or other ones indicating that there'll be an updated plan sheets coming forward. So just the timing of that. So I think we hear sometimes from contractors or consultants kind of, why is it taking so long? Many times, if it is more in depth, we do need to go back and do some engineering to determine what those changes to plans are. A few changes from bid letting to contract execution. The first one, nothing's changed. Bids are still due at 11 o'clock on the second Tuesday of the month. Typically, we reserve a couple of months where we don't have lettings, but due to the large number of proposals in 2025, we had a bid letting each month of the year. We look to be having a letting in this calendar year every month, but June as of right now. But as we approach the end of the fiscal year, we'll continue to evaluate whether or not we utilize June for a letting month. Apparent as-read low bidder information in the last couple of months was moved up from 25 hours after bids due to 2 p.m. the day of the letting. As we were talking about recertification here today in some of the breakout sessions, as we work through the recertification process, we will talk internally and continue to have conversations about trying to post that information as soon as practical after the bid letting. But we need to work with Tandra's team, our administrator's office, and our bureau to ensure that we're providing the adequate reviews prior to posting the apparent as-read low bidders. One additional change is we've been implementing electronic contracting kind of on a pilot phase since August of last year. Essentially what that is it's routing contract documents electronically. Prior to January of this year, outside of select projects, they were mailed. So the time to execute a contract or get a contract ready for us to be able to authorize work sometimes relied on the delivery of the mail from the department to the prime contractor and then back from the prime contractor. So this is, we've got a lot of positive feedback from the pilot projects, moved to full implementation in January. It's usually routed within 1 day, business day of the award. Bonding and notary signatures are still required, as is the prime contractor's 30% participation form. So there's still a couple of things that are required, but this is drastically expedited the process to finalize those contracts. This is a very busy slide, but I wanted to just try to illustrate the vast amount of information that we have accessible for those that are interested in our construction contracts using our Highway Construction Contract Information website, whether it's contract logs, contracting information, forms, or just the individual lettings. All of that is right there at your fingertips using our website. And if you just Google HCCI, you'll come to our main page and have access to all of these things, as well as key contacts for this team. Next, I want to shift to the consultant services section and just quickly talk about, we can't do this on our own from the department's perspective. From our engineering services, we rely heavily on a partnership with engineering consultants in Wisconsin, and we're very grateful for that. This is really to show, that as projects have increased, that support that we've reached out to our partners has also increased. We had about $318 million worth of work, up from just under $300 million in 2024. Ways to get in front of us, there's a couple of key times during the year. We have engineering opportunity days. In February of a calendar year, that's an opportunity every other year where we select our statewide master contracts from that. It's an opportunity a firm can come present what services they have on offer to the department. It's a great opportunity to get your firm in front of DOT folks, not just from central office, but from our regions as well. And then in the fall, we have a construction fair where we make our selections for the next year's construction oversight where we need consultant support. And then another one is a very busy slide, but really similar to the HCCI site, our consultant page under solicitation schedule. So outside of the construction and the getting in front of us master contracts time in February, we have monthly solicitation for engineering services. This is a month-by-month breakdown of when we post information, when you can ask questions, when information is due, and then when we post selections. The highlighted asterisk on the bottom really to identify the months where we have our larger contracts that would require a formal interview for that quality-based selection. All right. Next one, so I talked about construction, bid letting, contracting dollars. This next couple of slides are really to talk about, so once a project is in construction, points of contact, and then some of the key changes. So we've had changes within our management team at BPD, Construction Standards and Oversight. We have a new section chief, Paul Piccone, who came to us from Southwest Region. And then we assign a oversight engineer to each of the 5 regions, and then an additional one to Southeast Freeways. These are primary points of contact for our region project teams to help navigate and address policy standards and guidance. They're also ones that if there is unfortunately a challenge or a conflict between a contractor and the project team in the field, these folks help move those or help facilitate conversations to help resolve those issues in the field. So just want to put some names with you all, so if there are issues, first and foremost work through project teams, but these are the Bureau staff that would be working to support those project teams. All right, again, I got our website. I'm going to continue to plug our website. There's a lot of great information. Standards guidance, so our construction policy, our design policy, our detailed drawings, all of this is available on our websites. We have structure and road resources. If you Google that, if you Google standard spec, if you Google roadway resources, all of that information is available at your fingertips through our website. One of the key changes in a pilot phase for 2026 is related to updating our standard specifications. We're on about a 20-year run for updating our standard spec every year. We've kind of pumped the brakes on that a little bit to look for opportunities for improvement. We're going through a reorganization to help with material qualification, material requirements, which has necessitated a reorganization of our standard spec. It also is going to pair with the computer software program that we use to administer our projects, AASHTOware. In order to do that, we didn't want to just roll it out on all 383 proposals. We selected 3. 2 were let in November, 1 in January, to work through the process, work through the bugs. Does our staff, our consultant support that are administering the contracts fully understand the changes? Is the contractor understanding it? It's meant to work together to improve the process and fine-tune that for when we're ready for a full implementation of our new pilot or our new standard specifications. We anticipate a few more pilots in calendar year 27, and then hopefully, fingers crossed, a full implementation in calendar year 28. So we're trying to walk before we can run with our standard specification updates. Electronic ticketing, I wanted to provide an update here. We sometimes hear that from a lot of our concrete, asphalt, and aggregate producers on what are the requirements for electronic ticketing for upcoming season. For 2026, we're kind of mirroring what we did for this past construction season. Bless you. Is hot mix asphalt for projects that have greater than 30,000 tons will have a requirement to utilize electronic ticketing. Concrete pavement projects greater than 20,000 square yards, and bridge projects that have greater than 1,300 cubic yards of concrete for the bridge decks. Now, there is an exemption process that if there is a reason why a contractor or subcontractor is unable to meet those requirements, through our DT forms, which is our numbered forms for our projects, to have 2-question narrative as to why you cannot meet those requirements. And our intent is to continue to push this initiative forward, but we also do not want to limit competition, limit sources, limit contractors. We want to continue to grow this. We believe there's advantages from efficiency, from safety. However, we also want to ensure that we have a robust group of contractors and suppliers in Wisconsin. So we're continuing to hear your feedback and make adjustments as we go. Design build. So we currently have statutory authority through 84062 Part 2 of our state statutes to do up to 6 pilot design build projects. We completed a project in Lone Rock on Highway 130, in the city of Appleton on 125 in the past years. And then we have 3 pilot projects that are currently in various stages of procurement or construction. 94 in Monroe County. This is the 39-90 split near Toma. That was awarded in late summer of last year. Work began in late 2025. We have a rehabilitation project on Highway 5129 in the Wausau area. That was awarded last September and then set to begin this spring. And then on I-94, we have a bridge replacement projects on 4 structures, 2 over the eastbound and westbound structures over the Rock River, and then the eastbound and westbound structures over the Crawfish River, about halfway between Madison and Milwaukee. Those currently, we have shortlisted design builders who are going through the RFP process. So the request for proposals, that is slated to close in June of this year. And then we are working on great partnership with our contracting associations, our consultant associations, to work to provide updates or request updates to our statutory authority to utilize design build as a tool that we can continue to use for the right projects at the right time going forward. So we're continuing to eagerly await as that moves through the legislative process. And with that, I kind of want to end on a global theme. Like that, we're all here. This is my first opportunity to present, to attend the DB conference, DB Summit, is to make connections. We are from all walks of agency, contractor, consultant, supplier, but all of us are needed together to deliver these projects. Not one group can do it alone. And communication, whether it's through events like this, partnering meetings, which we've had the great opportunity to be part of, is really to understand and not just say we're going to communicate better, but look for ways that we can work together to communicate. Be proactive, be solution-based, be positive, identify contractual processes if there is an issue, or standards if there is an issue to help work through a project. Identify who your points of contact are on projects so you know who to go to. When are you going to elevate issues? Having these conversations before there's an issue, and believe me, there's always some issue. Hopefully they're small, but understanding that before you get to that is very important. And in the end, we're in this together. Collectively, we can deliver these projects more safely and more efficiently. So with that, thank you.